Okay. Welcome back to Peek Into Our Week. My name is Sheridan Powell. I'm the Communications Manager here at Visit Colorado Springs. And today I am sitting with Mark from the Independence Center. Mark, can you introduce yourself?
Well, thank you, Sheridan. Happy to do so. My name is Mark Windle. I currently serve on the team just a few blocks from here at the Independence Center. And I look forward to talking more about what the Independence Center actually is with you. But I'm a true native of Colorado Springs, was born and raised here, and I've lived here my entire lifetime. And so it's certainly a treat to be with you and share this time with you today and find out also more what you all are doing to help create more impact basically in our entire Pikes Peak region. So I currently serve as the Director of Culture at the Independence Center, which is the third different job I've had since I've been at the Independence Center. They keep moving me further from the front door for some reason. But this role was generously created to just dig more into team member experience and just trying to dive more into team member thriving in our workplace. So it's a treat to be here with you today, right before a big holiday weekend. And so thanks for making time for the Independence Center today.
Absolutely. So July is Disability Pride Month. So we wanted to take some time to chat about exactly what that means. Of course, the awesome things that the Independence Center is doing and all of the accessible and inclusive offerings that our visitors and our locals can find around Colorado Springs. So let's start by talking a little bit about Disability Pride Month. What are we celebrating this July?
Well, as not so much of a joke, the Independence Center just calls it July. We try to celebrate and take pride in disability every month and every week and every day. But this one's especially extra this time around because it's the 35th year anniversary of the signing of the American Disabilities Act. And so certainly ramping up and really celebrating over that lifespan of 3.5 decades, the difference that really has been made in and for the lives of people with disabilities. So certainly for us, that extra special focus at it, I think it's worth extra note that it's worth celebrating this just natural part of humanity, and this has been part of existence since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
And just celebrating what all of that means and the assets that everyone is to our communities and what it looks like for every person, disability or not. We try to focus on the unique abilities of every individual. I appreciate the Independence Center so much because we try to focus on what people can do, more so than what they can't do. So certainly this big go around with a huge anniversary celebration of the signing of the ADA, I was certainly piling some things on extra, but we're honored in our community to focus on these things every single day. To how do we help people pursue thriving and opportunity and choice and decision making every day?
Yeah. And I will chime in and say that is something I also really appreciate about the Independence Center in working so closely with you guys and learning and kind of getting guidance from you and your team. Just the angle that you take on things in increasing visibility and awareness and the pride when it comes to disability and not making it, something that needs hidden or is shameful to talk about, and just really, empowering everyone that you guys interact with. So I really appreciate that about your organization as well. So we got into it a little bit, but on kind of a broader scope for our listeners who might not know what the Independence Center is or everything that you guys offer. Can you give us a quick high-level rundown?
Quick being the imperative word on that statement.
We can be here all day.
It's certainly an exciting organization that, to my own disadvantage, I had never heard of before I got hired at the Independence Center. It's this wonderful little gem that we're working really hard to make sure it's no longer like a secret here in the region. I was founded in 1987 initially as a home health organization, and has grown and grown and grown. And while it still has a thriving, booming home health business inside of the Independence Center today, which really speaks to the legacy of original ownership and the founding families of our organization. But then toward the middle of the 1990s, we became a certified center for independent living, which means we're on state contract and we help collaborate with state and state offices to deliver at least 5 core services to people in a 6-county catchment area around Colorado Springs to help them live more independently. Now that comes with all kinds of requirements and compliance, sorts of things that we have to make sure that we match up with. So for over these last several decades, as a Center for Independent Living, there are 9 CILs, C-I-L, Centers for Independent Living in Colorado. We're our local representative of that. But there are hundreds of organizations here locally that can do what we do, but through a state certification, we're the only organization certified to do what we do.
Gotcha.
Now, because our Center for Independent Living, our independent living departments are rigged in with a home health organization and a thriving veteran-directed care organization, our independent living teams and programs and departments are able to do a lot of other pretty aggressive and really fun things, which we may have time to talk about today or not. So inside the Independence Center, we have a big booming veteran-directed care program, home health and independent living. We have, as you know, a full kind of a booming marketing department that we work in. We have full HR, which every organization is supposed to have. So 48 to 50 people in the office on a daily basis, really trying to do a better job. We're not doing it well enough yet. Working better together to serve the community, to help them just live more independently. I think that's what it all boils right down to at the end, is whether a veteran or a client through home health or a consumer through independent living, on that wide spectrum of living independently, what does it look like for that person? It's a test for our team to meet even most of those needs.
Right.
We're trying to learn what those are and definitely do them better. So we're going boom, it's thriving, we're doing really great. But I think the trick is, and we appreciate your help today, it's just helping more people find out that there's wonderful resources available, many at no cost.
Exactly.
Just come check it out and see what we can do together.
Yeah, and I actually, so I'm not a Colorado Springs native, and when I moved into town, I lived down on Los Animas Street, so I walked past your office every single day, and I really didn't know the full extent of what you guys offer, so it's been cool to kind of continually learn that as well, because I think also from a community resource standpoint, you guys do an awesome job you offer free disability awareness training, which our staff has taken and our volunteers have taken a few times, just about language and questions and how to handle certain situations, especially in the hospitality industry, as well as resources for businesses and buildings that are trying to become more accessible and welcoming. And I think it is important that the community knows a little bit more about all of these resources, many that are free, that they have access to through you guys. So happy to help in any way we can there, but we've leaned really heavily on your team as well, just as we've continued to learn and grow and
that's definitely
do better.
Right back at you. We certainly appreciate collaborating with your team. After 3.5 years at the organization, it seems like each day I still learn a little more about what we're actually trying to do, what we actually have to offer people. So it's a long way to go. So
a cool thing that I want to make sure that we don't let get lost. I know that normally on July 26th, the anniversary of the signing of the ADA, you guys do a festival at your office, but you're doing something a little different this year. Can we talk about that?
We decided to move it off-site. Instead of offering 20 or 30 vendors to bring their tables and stand on blazing hot asphalt for most of the day. The ice cream truck was super helpful last year, but we decided to take it off-site with an amazing partnership with the soccer team, with Switchbacks, who I hear are pretty good.
They are.
Recent champions.
They're the reigning champs.
Which is super cool, but we thought, what a great opportunity to also expand our voice and maybe more exposure to the community by being a kind of a co-sponsor at the Switchbacks game coming up on Saturday, July 26th at 7 p.m. It should be banging. It's going to be amazing with additional, certainly we'll be hosting tables as always, get a chance to meet and greet with folks from the community. We'll have team members that'll be there. But just the exposure on co-branded rally towels, or you can imagine all the graphics floating around on the field and on the jumbotrons, and for an organization that is growing and learning what we're eventually going to be, any exposure at this level that we can get, we're super proud of our marketing team for nuancing this partnership to expand our exposure here in town in the area. It's going to be on TV, and so there's going to be a lot of people be able to find out, at least start scraping the surface on what this organization is, and hopefully that will lead them to ask further and maybe tune in and watch some things. But by all means, come to the game. It's going to be super cool. We'll have halftime stuff and kids out on the field, and so we're super thrilled. Yeah,
I'm super excited for that too. And I, have attended your festival the last few years, and I do think you guys are really well known in the disability community in town because of the resources that you offer. But this opportunity to kind of reach people that maybe might not have encountered you before should be really cool. So I'm super excited about that as well. And last I heard, it was just about sold out. So
the quality of soccer alone will get that. But we have several hundred of our folks that are going to get tickets and be able to sit together in the north stands. So it's kind of an unprecedented event for us, and so we're excited to take a new angle and step outside of our zones a little bit. It's going to be amazing.
Super cool. All right. I wanted to take a really quick second to kind of give a little rundown of how Visit Colorado Springs is involved in a lot of this work. as the tourism marketing organization, it's not necessarily, we always refer to like our lane and staying in our lane, but we, a few years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago, co-sponsored a study with an organization called MMGY and the U.S. Spinal Association, and they did a huge comprehensive kind of research deep dive into travelers specifically with mobility disabilities, many of them spinal cord injuries. But we got access to this report of some of the largest pain points that people experience in travel. And of course, I mean, we could guess most of them. It was airlines and damage to their mobility aids and all of that sort of stuff. But we also gained a lot of insight into the planning process and the decision-making process and how we can improve what we have for travelers so that they, can plan ahead and feel comfortable coming to Colorado Springs. They can know what to expect and things they need to bring with them, resources they have access to, but also kind of educating and informing our hospitality businesses, so hotels and restaurants and museums, on how they can welcome folks with disabilities, make some small or large tweaks to become more accessible and welcoming. And so I think that study kind of launched us into this space. It wasn't really work that we had the bandwidth or the budget to focus on before. And I think being a home to Team USA and the Olympic and Paralympic Committee lends itself very well to that as well. Sure. We've got all sorts of Paralympic national governing bodies as well as athletes that live and train in the Springs. And it became a very natural fit to the work that we were doing because we want to market Colorado Springs to all travelers, and that includes travelers with disabilities. And we kind of realized there was work to be done. There was space for growth. And with that is how we kind of got plugged into the Independence Center. We started what we call our Accessibility Task Force, which is just a group of organizations and leaders and stakeholders from around the city that meets quarterly. And it's not Visit Colorado Springs focused. Like, we're not only focusing on our projects and initiatives, but we're just kind of sharing what everyone is working on, how we can support each other, areas where, work overlaps and areas where there's gaps that needs to be done. So that includes like our airport, our city ADA office, the Independence Center, of course. But that's been really cool to see those community relationships build a little bit more as well, because I think, especially in the Springs, there's a lot of awesome organizations doing work sometimes in silos, and we don't collaborate as well as we always can. So that's been really cool to see, and we've leaned super heavily on the Independence Center through all of this, just in kind of leading discussions when it comes to policy and the law that we need to be following, as well as some creative ideas and ways that we can better reach the community. So I just wanted to give a little snapshot, just in case anyone was wondering why the heck the tourism board is talking about accessibility. But it's become a very important part of my job and of our organization's mission to make sure that we're looping that into everything that we do kind of across the board.
That's good. Well, good on you all to maybe be in a position humble enough to realize maybe it's not quite where it needs to be. And you began this little segment talking about, the lane that you're in. Your lane is pretty wide.
It is.
And maybe the spaces between those dotted lines are some are spaced far, some are close, but you're covering an entire gamut from way up there to way out there.
Yes. About
how to have people with more accessible options here in our region, because sure, we want them to come.
Right.
It's good business, but we live on one of the most beautiful places anywhere. And so, please come and see it and have a good plan before, during, and after you got here to check it out.
Yeah.
Good job.
And those collaborations have helped a lot, I think, because it is super overwhelming work and, like where to start and what we can accomplish. And the metaphor or comparison we always use is, like, we can market the destination to everyone, but we can't go out and put in curb cuts and, pave the streets better or all of those things. So just kind of looping in the people that can do those things and are doing those things has been really beneficial, I think, in just moving the whole destination forward a little bit.
Fantastic. Good job.
Thank you. On that note, I wanted to spend the rest of our time kind of chatting about some of the awesome things that our city does have to offer, whether it's programs or meetups or businesses that I've kind of seen make some improvements. So if we just want to go back and forth and kind of shout out some of our favorites, I thought that would be kind of fun. To start, we have a handful of attractions that have opened in the last few years that have been super, super intentional with their design, which I think is super cool. Both the Olympic and Paralympic Museum that's right here downtown and the new Summit Visitor Center that's on top of Pikes Peak, both were kind of built with universal design in mind and universal access. They've both won crazy number of awards for that design, but like in the USOPM, visitors won't encounter a single stair. You take an elevator to the top and it ramps all the way down, but every exhibit and experience is accessible to people of all abilities, which is super cool, and I think a rarity in the museum space. So
I would agree. We were able to take 30-some of our consumers. A couple of years ago, we had earned some generous funds through a recreation grant. So we invited a bunch of our consumers to join us in the museum, and it was really a thrill to watch kind of a cross-disability group engage at every stop, at all levels of the building. We got to eat a fancy lunch. That was a fantastic experience for folks with unique abilities to navigate that space and learn more about what's in the museum. So yeah, huge shout out to the museum.
Yeah, they've done a great job, and they have super interactive exhibits where you can, test out sports and you can ask athletes questions, and all of those are controlled with the lanyard that you get when you enter, and when you set up your lanyard, you can enter any accessibility needs that you might have. So if you're in a wheelchair and you enter that in, when you approach an exhibit, everything lowers so that it's at your eyesight and your reach. And I just think those little thoughts and intentional design choices have been really cool to see people experience.
Some folks were thinking about that when they designed it, which is really great.
Right.
We also sent a batch of our consumers up to that Summit House, and so trying to get a gauge on how accessible that mode of transportation is up the hill. They had a wonderful time. So shout out there too. That was great.
Yeah, super great up on Pikes Peak. And I mean, we talk about Pikes Peak as the most accessible mountain in Colorado purely because you don't have to hike it. Like disability not in the picture, you can take a car up, you can take a train up, you can hike it, you can bike it, you can hop on a bus, and you don't even have to be the one to drive. And I think they really leaned into that idea that they're going to have families, they're going to have older folks, and just wanted to make sure that everyone could have that experience up there and experience the mountain. So
agreed.
Yeah, they did a really good job up there. Another thing I wanted to make sure to mention is I know the Independence Center has worked really hard with our county and our city, and we now have a few different modes that wheelchair users can use to get out on our trails, because Colorado Springs is so well known for the outdoor spaces and the parks and the hikes, but El Paso County Parks acquired a few. They're called terrain hoppers. They're fantastic. Usually at the festival, you can kind of test drive them around the parking lot.
Have you got to drive one?
Oh, yes.
They're so fun. They make so much sense.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're just kind of like off-roading wheelchairs is how I've heard folks refer to them. But they just allow wheelchair users to get out into the trails, and they can climb some pretty intense inclines and make it back down safely. And that's been awesome too.
We had a former board member who owned one, and he brought one by for a kind of a statewide meeting we were hosting, and we had a blind gentleman from our team driving the terrain hopper. So it was, again, by speed and by the way that it functioned, by following directions, he's driving around the parking lot. And so it's just a brilliant thing. But again, getting you outside, finding a peaceful space, finding a different mode for health. The terrain hoppers are awesome.
Yeah, and those are completely free to reserve and rent through the El Paso County Parks. They're at Bear Creek Park and Fountain Creek Park.
Yes.
But folks can rent and reserve those and take them out with their family all summer long, which is awesome. And then I think that initiative and Jeremy's efforts there kind of then inspired the city to acquire something similar. So the city of Colorado Springs now owns track chairs, which are similar idea. They're just like you would picture, like a track, like a
almost
tank.
a tank, right?
Yeah. But very similar idea, and those can be rented and reserved for free as well out at Red Rock Canyon open space. And it's been cool to be out hiking and see folks utilizing them.
See, and against that, it's the normalization. This is a normal way of life that we would see people from all walks of life and backgrounds and experiences while I'm out doing something. It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's more inclusive.
It increases visibility for sure. We did a photo shoot with our friend Jeremy and his family, and he was utilizing one, and we had probably 3 or 4 people stop us on the trail and be like, what the heck is that thing?
I love it. It's so
and
good.
you know, sometimes people assume that it's a motorized vehicle of some sort and shouldn't be allowed on the trails, and it's a great opportunity for kind of education and providing that perspective a little bit as well. So I know the Independence Center kind of helps facilitate some groups and excursions and stuff. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. We have one of the most accessible buildings anywhere, and we're super proud of our space. So on a daily basis, welcoming, inviting folks to come in for maybe a workshop or a seminar. We have some thriving peer support groups, which again, that's key to the disability rights movement, the independent living movement, is that people with disabilities are leading people with disabilities.
Right.
Now, I think that statement's only about half good. People with disabilities are leading everybody. But this idea about sitting with someone in a sense of community and belonging who are going through almost exactly what I'm going through on a daily basis, we've seen some real power in that, especially in our traumatic brain injury groups. The discussions in there are incredible, Sheridan. Like, it's awesome. So I think being able to typeset across disability basis, but finding out what folks are wanting to learn about, needing to find out about. We have a thriving benefits department helping folks explore the benefits planning processes in the world of disability, which are brilliant. And then as often as we can, getting folks outside of the building, out to go experience our beautiful area, whether it be to local movie theaters, or let's get outside, or let's go to a recreation center, or go to an arts center and do the crafty things together. It's certainly that balance of hosting things in the building, but we also believe the greatest impact is made outside of our building and meeting people on their turf and experiencing things in their space the way they experience them. So certainly a long way to go, but we're thrilled, and all of our services are free, which I think sometimes people it takes a second explanation. People need us to say it again about being able to access our services. And so, culture changes and people's needs change, and we're trying to meet as many of those as we can, being sensitive to what the modern day needs are of people with disabilities. We're seeing a ton through tech.
Yeah. Oh, I can't even imagine.
Our tech lab is.
Yeah.
It is awesome.
Yeah. One day I'm gonna sneak in there, I think, and just nerd out a little bit on some of that.
Next week sounds good.
Perfect. I'll see you then.
Is that okay on that question? Like, I think there's just so much internally, but it's that balance for us getting out in the community, maybe assisted living centers, independent living facilities. We can start meeting folks on their turf and maybe run groups, or maybe run financial planning groups on site, or take our VR unit over there and let people walk the Great Wall of China together. Like, so there's so many exciting opportunities to do, tapping into our community. Yeah.
And I love just kind of hearing the new creative things you guys are coming up with all the time as well. Before we start to wrap, there's a few businesses that I just want to make sure to shout out, just because in the last few years, like I mentioned earlier, I think when we started to speak to our partners and our local businesses about accessibility improvements, I think everyone's mind immediately goes to like infrastructure and big, expensive overhauls and costs. And I think the coolest thing I've seen come out of these conversations has been those really small but really impactful changes that businesses have made just to be able to welcome some more folks. And one of those is Adventures Out West, which is a local Jeep tour company. They, I believe through some grant funding, but they were able to retrofit one of their Jeeps with a lift on the back. And so now folks in a wheelchair are just able to stay in their chair and not, have to transfer into this tall, huge Jeep and go on their Jeep tours around town as well. And that was, just kind of like a creative solution that they came up with. Additionally, one of my favorites, just because I love fishing and kind of being outdoors, was Angler's Covey, which is a local fly fishing outfitter. They came up with this system. We were out doing a photo shoot with some local influencers, and one of our influencers had kind of like reduced mobility and use of her hands, but she wanted to go fly fishing because her husband is a huge fly fisher. And they basically had it looks like a wrist brace that you strap on, and it has a little section where you just hook in the fly fishing rod. So you don't have to have your grip strength. Sure. You don't have to have full use of your hands. It's attached to your forearm, and you can cast a fly fishing rod just like with your whole family. And their team did a fantastic job of, coming up with a location where Rachel could roll right up to the water side and help reel in her fish. And it was just a really cool thing to see. And John, the man who kind of led that initiative, he was like, yeah, the wrist brace and the retrofitter was like $15 on the internet, and now we can welcome this whole new group of people. I've just loved seeing those kind of small but really intentional changes and adaptations that our partners have started. And we try and encourage that where we can and connect them with resources when they have questions, and kind of keep it rolling. Well, perfect. I wanted to give you an opportunity to let people know how they can get better involved with the Independence Center, support your mission, and kind of just amplify you guys a little bit.
I appreciate that. A couple blocks at 729 South Daytona. We welcome anybody to come check out the building, because even getting some idea about what accessibility really could look like in a workplace or in a physical space, we would certainly be willing to show off the facility as often as possible. We have a really great newsletter, and I know it's kind of a traditional thing, but goes out once a month.
And
there's ASL interpretation on there, and so certainly the website's another big way to do that, certainly tapping into some of those things. Our marketing team has done a great job building some more of a social media presence. We know that that's a bigger thing in the world we live in today through Facebook and through Instagram, but certainly come to the soccer game would be a great way to do that. But I think plugging into these channels, newsletter, website, socials, and then believing that there's got to be something in there that would pique some interest, whether on behalf of a family or for a friend. We all are engaged in the world of disability somehow.
Right.
And then being able to plug whoever that is in our lives in with services that we're able to access, or we have a really strong information referral database where there's lots of things that we don't do and we shouldn't do, but wanting to refer folks out to great other organizations to have them check out resources there. But yeah, just check it out. And if there's any one little thing, we are more than happy to host and to welcome, answer any questions as folks would have things come into their minds wanting to know more about the organization and what we're trying to do better.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you
of course.
Kind of being here with me today.
You.
This was
a treat.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I look forward to kind of seeing how you guys continue to grow, and I love working with you guys and your team.
We appreciate your partnership. You did a good job today.
Thank you.
Thank you.